Ross Coulthart responds to the fate of the Schumer-Rounds amendment. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, I'm just going to show a few clips of Ross, our favorite reporter, responding to what has befallen the Schumer-Rounds amendment.
UAP Disclosure Act has been steadily more and more emasculated, gutted, purged of anything useful that might assist in UAP disclosure. And what we have left is a flaccid, limp lettuce leaf of legislation, a pathetic shill attempt to try and pacify the public, who I am sure are going to declaim this legislation for the fop pretense that it is. I feel very strongly about this, Bryce. I think we've been played. I think all along there was a group in the defence aerospace lobby that wanted this legislation suppressed. We were led to believe that there was going to be a bipartisan support, but all along certain lick-spittle congressmen, grovelling shills to the defence aerospace industry, were only too happy to stick their craven tongues in various orifices of the defence aerospace industry and essentially allow themselves to be manipulated to allow the subversion of public accountability for this issue. I just think it's a disgrace. It's a sad reflection on American democracy. We can talk about what we've got left in the legislation that is going to go to the vote, but frankly, it's a pale shadow of what could have been.
Well, I'm just glad that Ross minced his words. But of course he's right. The bill was attacked and sabotaged by the UFO control group. Here's Chris Sharp telling us all about it in this great article on Liberation Times, Operation Kill Bill, how world-changing UFO language was killed and sliced up into little pieces. There is no way to spin it. This was a defeat. Key UAP language contained within the NDAA for fiscal year 2024 was brutally killed, removing any semblance of meaning. People versus defense contractors in the intelligence community, oversight versus corruption, democracy versus special interest. The latter in each case won. The controlled disclosure campaign killed the independent review board dedicated to the disclosure of UAP information and materials killed. The authority of eminent domain wielded by the U.S. federal government over any materials or biological evidence of unknown or non-human origin killed. New whistleblower and witness protections killed. Enforcement of subpoena killed. Amnesty provision for defense contractors and other entities in possession of UAP-related material and involved in illegalities killed. Even Senator Chuck Schumer, the influential Senate leader, along with others within Congress, couldn't break through the barriers of secrecy shrouding UAP. But this was a battle within a much larger war being fought. One person recently told Liberation Times that the killing of the wide-ranging UAP language contained within the NDAA was comparable to military jets flying over hostile territory to identify enemy radar systems. Those hostile to transparency and democratic oversight are now known. To provide a few examples, according to multiple Liberation Times sources, they are Lockheed Martin, Representative Mike Turner, Mike Rogers, Mike Johnson, and Mitch McConnell, Senator Roger Wicker, and he is the ranking member of the Senate's Armed Services Committee. Sources indicate that the CIA and defense contractors pinpointed the key politicians named above who were able to thwart other members of Congress, including Schumer and Rounds, who are understood to have fought hard to pass the language intact. There is some slight positive news. Section 1687, referring to the limitation on use of funds for certain unreported programs, the language restricts the use of funds authorized for any activities related to UAP unless the Secretary of Defense provides details of such activities to specific congressional committees and leadership. Additionally, it imposes limitations on independent research and development funding for UAP unless information is made available to the same congressional entities. However, that language no longer includes the level of detail contained within the initial language, including references to recovery and reverse engineering of UAP craft linked to the limitations of such funds. Later on in the article, Chris says, multiple sources have previously told Liberation Times that the original language Chuck Schumer proposed was done in coordination with the White House, and that may mean the White House is very aware of the resistance too. If Schumer proposed the language with Senator Rounds as a proactive step to honor his late friend Harry Reid, then that may not be a big deal. But if Schumer was enacting the White House's agenda, then the repercussions of such resistance could have greater consequences. And I've talked about that before, that the White House seems to have gotten engaged in this topic during Balloon Gate, when jets were scrambled for the first time ever that they've admitted to over North America to shoot down anomalous objects. So that seems to be when the White House got involved. They created their inter-office agency and worked with Chuck Schumer to create this amendment. So absolutely, the White House is involved, which is exciting when to see the White House actually get involved in this and push this forward. It's a little alarming to see the establishment step in and maybe steer the narrative, but you can see the resistance they're getting. So that itself is kind of encouraging that they're actually on the on the good guy side. So Ross Coulthart has some additional thoughts.
Well, I mean, I think the bigger issue is I've actually expressed sympathy for the private aerospace companies that I know do have possession of retrieved non-human technology. I know that with a reasonable degree of certainty, because in some cases, not all cases, they've done the retrievals themselves. And I can understand why there was concern about the confiscation, the eminent domain laws, because frankly, why should the government be able to confiscate technology that an aerospace company has recovered at its own cost? It should perhaps be alerted to the existence of that technology, which is the oversight issue that I think needs to be corrected. But I've always had a problem legally with the idea that the federal government can step in after the fact and confiscate everything relating to non-human technology. And I know, because I've spoken to people about it inside Defence Aerospace, I know that was the concern. I think that the government could have written more careful legislation, which basically allowed for it to be made aware of defence aerospace technology that is of non-human origin. And then they could have negotiated a way to, once they're notified of its existence, assert control over it in some way. Because ultimately...
Yeah, and that's a really interesting point, is this idea that, you can see possibly a power struggle going on right now between the private companies like Lockheed Martin and Boeing and Raytheon that are part of this, UFO control group versus the government side of the UFO control group. I mean, is that what we're looking at? The federal government trying to exert power over UFO technology against the private companies that hold a lot of this material? Is that kind of the war we're seeing? To me, that makes sense, and that would kind of explain why the White House is getting engaged with this topic. Now, maybe that's just the cynic in me seeing that, is that, the federal government trying to, get more power over this stuff. And the private companies saying, not so fast, we actually spent some money on this and some time on this, and we want to develop this and, reap the rewards. Maybe there's some middle ground that could be had, though. Clearly, the private companies, don't seem to be sharing that with the rest of us. The federal government hasn't done a great job of sharing this technology with the rest of us either. What part of the UFO control group, how much of it is in private hands? How much of it is in the government hands? What is the interaction between the government and the non-governmental part of the UFO control group? Is there tension between those groups? And is that the drama that we're seeing unfold? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But Ross does have some encouraging final thoughts for us.
And I can tell you, there are things coming up in 2024, and I know people are going to go, well, what are they? Tell me more. And they're just going to have to wait. But I'm pretty confident that we are going to see a very, very interesting year in 2024. I know that's said every year, but there are definitely things afoot. And if I was the gatekeepers, the people who are trying to put a muzzle on this issue, I would be very, very nervous. And I
love it, Ross. You tell us all about it. And that's what I've heard too. People have contacted me privately telling me that, yeah, Lou Elizondo was right, and it's time to start wrecking some furniture, and they are getting ready to do that. So, you know, I hope that's true. I told them to throw a chair for me. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see, guys. Fingers crossed that the contingency plans are in place and things are going to unfold in a good way. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to share this video on social media, that'd be super groovy. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos to check out on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.